Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hey, Hare Krishna, man. Hey, wasn't that a great sharing from Janaki and Govinda? That's still going on, I think. So, you know, let them keep going on with that. I just wanted to do a quick little video about something they said about Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, how to recognize. There's a reason for this disguise here. How to recognize Nityananda in Lord Chaitanya. Okay? And it's, I think, a very kind of an important thing to discuss and talk about. So how do we recognize, see if we can get rid of that. How do we recognize Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, and why would that be important, actually? Okay. Especially with the preaching now, everybody's really big on this. Oh, don't show the Nityananda part of Lord Chaitanya. Don't show ecstatic devotion. Don't you know the Lord never showed that? Well, it depends on what form, you know. And so anyway, people, devotees, Vaishnavas, often get caught up on this not showing what devotion actually is externally. No, keep it inside like Lord Chaitanya did. Don't you know that's the way he preached? And yeah, he preached more or less that way. But that was, he had a certain confidential reason for that, and that was to attract the student community who were faithful in rules and regulations to deliver them. They thought that by following, being a Brahmin and everything, that was enough to deliver them. But as we all know, that it's not good enough just to be a good person, regulated devotee, follower of Varnashram Dharma. That's not enough. So the Lord would, in a sense, capture their attention, and they would get close to him because he followed those rules and regulations, and they would run away from Nityananda, but they would come closer to Lord Chaitanya because they had faith in the rules, right? So, but you see why it's important to have this conversation, because a lot of people developed that faith in the rules, and they thought that was what was going to deliver them with Lord Chaitanya, is the rules, regulations, and all that. But the Lord even showed in his pastimes, as we mentioned so often, that he rejected that way of deliverance. See, so, and basically, who was Lord Chaitanya inside? He was Krishna, right? Krishna Vrindavan. So is Krishna actually act like a sannyasi in Vrindavan? See? No, he has a certain kind of mood, and is very playful, very cunning, very cunning, very powerful, happy-go-lucky. Yeah, didn't follow rules, break them all the time. Just like Nityananda, his brother, they'd often break the rules. Krishna would break pots. So that was kind of a disguise for the Lord's real nature. The more real nature of Lord Chaitanya was exhibited actually in Nityananda. Yeah, the real nature. Because Nityananda didn't hide anything. He got the order. Lord Chaitanya said, don't hide this bhakti. Manifest this pure devotional service even to the lowest person. Show them how we are in Vrindavan. You know, and so Nityananda did. He just just spontaneously wandered around like a small boy and did what small boys would do without so much restriction. With some father telling him, "You're not supposed to do this. No, don't do this." He just did it. Whatever he fancied. And it was all beautiful because he was a transcendental person. See? So not everybody would get close to Nityananda. They would be, the ones who were not so attracted would usually be the Brahmins, because they were attracted by the level of Vaidhi Bhakti, rules, regulations, regulative devotional service, and so Nityananda is very unregulative. So you'd have to more or less know what is real devotion and bhakti to accept Nityananda. See? Like Lord Chaitanya said to Srivas, why are you associating with Nityananda? Why are you keeping him in your house? You're going to lose your caste. The other Brahmins are going to criticize you. See? But Lord Nityananda laughed at him. He said, why do you test me, Lord? I don't care if Nityananda is a drunkard, goes in a bar, asks little girls to marry him, which he did. It's like marrying God, I don't care if he sucks on Malini's nipple, which he did. Because he was in the mood of Vrindavan, being a mother, her being his mother. And she was in that mood also. See, so confidential service, and he was involved in things like that. Expressing Vrindavan. See, manifested even to the lowest persons. So usually the merchants, the lower persons that were not Brahmins he would deliver them. He even says he's the deliverer of the cripples, the merchants, the lower class persons, because they accepted him. And that's deliverance, is just to accept the nature of a devotee, empowered with real bhakti. That's what delivers us. Come close to them, hear from them, learn, by association with those devotees. And that's our belief in them, our affection for them. See, this is what delivers us. See, so we could be like a regulative devotee and attracted to Lord Chaitanya and say, well, Lord Chaitanya, he's the one who taught real bhakti, but our attraction is not on the bhakti that the Lord had. It's on his teaching of or following the example of rules and regulations. But it's not on the bhakti itself, because if it was, you'd be like Srivas, who was already a Brahmin also by birth, okay? But yet he was attracted to Nityananda and served Nityananda regardless of his external behavior. See, his external behavior, his external behavior was actually his internal behavior. He made what was inside him outside so people could see it. See, and that's ecstasy. That's crying, that's laughing, that's extreme bliss. That's actions and activities inspired by that bliss and that ecstasy. Okay? So he made what was inside him outside, so people could see it. And Lord Chaitanya, when he saw this kind of behavior, this kind of internal bhakti made external, he said, no, how fortunate I am to see the symptoms of devotion manifest before it walk across the pathway of my eyes. And the devotees said that too when they saw Lord Chaitanya like that behind closed doors. See? So the difference was Lord Chaitanya might show these things behind closed doors, at least at first he did. See? And Nityananda would show it externally. Okay. Matter of fact, when Nityananda did not exhibit these symptoms of bhakti, these devotional symptoms, the Lord said, hey, if you don't act a little more wild in this world, then how are we going to accomplish our mission? See? So that was in hints, the truth. Well, what does that mean? What was the mission of the Lord? Was to teach not just regulative bhakti. He only followed the example of sannyas to capture the student community who was against him because of exhibiting internal bhakti externally at first. So that was just a well-planned trick. Yeah, see, so, yeah, good. I'm glad you mentioned that, Freddie, because we'll just definitely discuss that also. That's a good point. Okay. So, let's see, did I finish? Yeah, so he asked Nityananda, he said, manifest now pure devotional service of Vrindavan before even the most fallen persons. See? So whoever accepted him, accepted his nature as that, then you could accept his association. See? And then you would be delivered just by believing in Nityananda. Now, Freddie makes a good point here. Let's discuss this. So if we imitate the activities of Lord Nityananda, then we are just like Mayavadis, thinking we are God. Okay, it's a good comment, but not quite conclusive. Yeah, it's not the full picture. See? So Nityananda also had servants that were like him. So if you get this bhakti and you're not inspired to hide it, or maybe you're told to manifest it, then because you're actually a servant of Lord Nityananda, you're not really imitating. You're actually, it's your natural nature, and you're ordered or inspired to share it like that, to share your nature. And who's an example of that? Well, the servant of Nityananda was Caitanya-caritāmṛta. He was very ecstatic, man. He'd walk down the street and he would laugh and he'd cry. He would be in devotional ecstasy. And lo and behold, what happened? A Brahmin saw him. See, this is in Caitanya-caritāmṛta in the Adi Lila. A Brahmin saw Caitanya-caritāmṛta, and what did he do? He criticized. He didn't give him respect. Well, I don't know if he criticized, but he did, well, just by not showing respect to Caitanya-caritāmṛta. And so Caitanya-caritāmṛta purified him, chastised him, said, oh, here's a second Ramana Maharshan who does not give honor to Nityananda. See, so what now? Is he trying to be God or imitate Nityananda? No, he just was a self-realized soul. Nityananda was his Lord. Nityananda was in his heart, manifested. So he's saying, hey man, the bliss of Nityananda was the same bliss exuding from him. He said, this is Nityananda, is this bliss. So you don't respect this bliss, this ecstasy, this conclusion that he shared, then you're not respecting Lord Chaitanya or Krishna or whoever you're worshiping on the altar. See, because you don't really know them. So he broke his flute in anger, purified him. Oh, a devotee got angry. Oh, ho, ho. Interesting. It says that. See? So yeah, if we imitate Nityananda, but the servant of Nityananda, they're not imitating. They've gotten the mercy of Nityananda, which is proven they have the ecstasy of Nityananda. They have the transcendental bliss of Nityananda. And, you know, if they're inspired or ordered to manifest internal bhakti externally so that people can come to the point of accepting it, that's their prerogative. That was the prerogative of Caitanya-caritāmṛta who did, and look what it did. That Brahmin didn't give honor to him, but yet he went on the altar to worship Krishna. And so Caitanya-caritāmṛta chastised him, said, no, you don't. What is this? You're a hypocrite, man. You go and worship the Lord on the altar, but you don't worship the Lord when he's manifesting through his devotee. See? Servitor Godhead. See? Vi medium. Well, whatever you're referring to, any transcendental activity a devotee is doing, you know, yeah, whether, you know, I can't tell what that would be. It's just a transcendental activity, whatever that is. If they're inspired by Nityananda, they're inspired by Nityananda. You know? So an ordinary person can't imitate any activity that a devotee does. That's transcendental activity. So you have to have the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, and you will do what you do, and it's okay because it's you're under the shelter of the transcendental potency. So just like Srila said, hey, even if Nityananda goes in a bar and it becomes a drunkard, I'll still have faith in him. Well, his servant might end up going in a bar. Who knows? Whatever, you know. Maybe even have a drink. Would you lose faith in them? Well, if they got the transcendental potency, they got the transcendental potency. Can you identify that? If the Lord is, you know, when He gives Himself to a devotee, that's an eternal thing, regardless of, you know, what we see externally or not. Otherwise, you're bewildered by external stuff, external bhakti, external activity. You can't see the truth of spiritual potency. So how can you see Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya? Well, you saw when he was ecstatic, that's Lord Chaitanya. I mean, that's the same. That's Vrindavan. Yeah. That's why Nityananda, he couldn't tolerate the Lord carrying a staff. He said, what is this? The abode of the demigods is that staff. And the demigods, he shouldn't be serving the demigods. The demigods should be serving him. So he broke the staff and threw it in the river. So an ordinary person cannot, doesn't have the transcendental mercy of the Lord, imitate anything a devotee does. If they do, they will have problems, and that's their lesson. Yeah. What else? So what we got to see, the same thing. You got to see the common things in Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda beyond the disguise. You know, and Krishna he's also a master of disguise. Yeah? So he could disguise himself as a sannyasi. See? But the same ecstatic mood, well, not the same mood, but the ecstatic devotion was in Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya. So he expressed it in kirtans, even publicly. Nityananda manifested the transcendental mood of a servant and friend to Krishna, and Lord Chaitanya manifested the mood and the service of Radharani for Krishna, you know, and taught the conjugal mood, stuff like that. Yeah, okay, I think that's, unless you got any other questions, I'm going to end this here. Continue walking. So I'll wait a minute and see if anybody has a question. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So actually, you know, I was thinking about this here as I'm reading here. If we suck women's breasts thinking that she is my mother is a pastime. Now when you say we, you're talking about you. Yeah, I think that would definitely be a problem. Is that not dangerous to the person? He is Nitai. Well, see, again, you're thinking that you're Nitai. A Nitai servant is never thinking that like that. Yeah, well, I see another thing. That's why you can't, it says not even the greatest scholars can understand a person in whom love of Godhead is manifesting, especially when it's deeper levels. Because sometimes, I mean, this, you can read this, sometimes the gopis, and that will include all devotees, if they're so deep in a ecstatic trance, sometimes they think that they're Krishna. But that's not like the Mayavadi thing. It's the thing is they're just so meditating on that they think they just exclaim, "I am Krishna." See, but this is different than a Mayavadi thing. They're just so identified, in the ecstasy of that. But it's the Lord, because on one level, everybody is Krishna, but not. We have our nature. We're only infinitesimal parts and parcels. But Krishna is the whole ball of wax. He's everything, So that's, so there's that distinction there. In the mood of Nittai, and he is not. In that not dangerous in the mood that he is Nittai. That he is Nittai. No, not for a devotee. That's so identified because they understand things as they are. See, like Caitanya-caritāmṛta, if you're not purified enough, you might think he's in false ego because he said, "Oh, look at this, the second Ramana Maharshan. He's not giving respect to Nityananda." So where is Nityananda? See? Everybody look, well, where's Nityananda? What is this? Caitanya-caritāmṛta think he's Nityananda? Now, Caitanya-caritāmṛta is free of the false ego, and he sees that he's a servant of Nityananda. He's serving you, Nityananda. See? So he's saying, hey man, you don't see, because that's all he's looking at is Nityananda. Okay? He's meditating on Nityananda. He's saying, well, you're not giving respect to Nityananda, who was awakened in his heart. Caitanya-caritāmṛta doesn't, he only identifies, I'm a servant of Nityananda. See, serving means you're serving Nityananda to people. People don't know what it is to be a servant. They're not purified enough. They think in other ways. It's a matter of purification to see, oh, hey man, Caitanya-caritāmṛta say, hey, I'm a servant of Nityananda. I'm serving people Nityananda. This bliss, this ecstasy is my Lord. See? Thinking like that. Hey, Noodles. Then wouldn't it be sahaja, Guru Maharaj, if we did anything that's saying I'm Krishna? But then again, you see, you're saying we. Yeah, definitely not you, Noodles. Don't you try to do that. You can't. See, you got to be a liberated soul. That means you have to do get a lot of mercy, a lot of ecstasy, a lot of worship of Krishna. So otherwise it would be sahaja. Yeah, we cannot, a person cannot imitate an eternally liberated soul if you don't have ecstatic devotion. Okay? Because you'd have a big problem. you get polluted. But then again, if you have a guru and you make some mistakes, like some people do, you'll get cleaned off. Krishna will clean you off through the guru because they're servitor Krishna. They'll serve that transcendental personality to you, and you'll get the what they call shadow benefit, the shadow from the moonlight rays of the devotee, and that'll purify you. Okay, and gradually, you'll devotion will awaken in the heart, and then you can go deeper into that and get more and more purified, Yeah, so I wouldn't try to imitate Krishna, Noodles, in your case, and also in the case of, Freddie. So, and as I said, you see, when you use the word imitate, see, that's not it, man. Devotees are spontaneous. If they're really purified, they're spontaneous. It's not about that. It's not like having a thing. I think I'm going to imitate Krishna. They're not thinking this. They're just meditating on Krishna, and spontaneously they act. It's not like people give classes even. they go, oh, well, I think I got to go and study my folio program and memorize these verses, and then I'll give class. Devotees are not like that. They just have an idea, and then they just start talking, and then Krishna spontaneously uses them. It's not a thing of the mind. It's not a mental thing. It's spiritual. The activities of a devotee come from their meeting with the Supreme Soul. See? So that comes usually through hearing, chanting, remembering, some kind of devotional service. See, like mine, I just execute the order of Prabhupada, which is this, what we're doing here, and then spontaneously things manifest, the activities. So a lot of devotees are understanding that also now. They're coming here. If a person don't have this knowledge and seeing a person acting like Nittai, they can give problems for that person and can stay away from his Sangha. Yeah. Well, when you say acting like Nittai, that's not, it's not going to... It's not that. That was an extraordinary situation. I mean, that Nityananda was actually there, and so Malini, eternal devotee of Nityananda, was there. So it was pure and very wonderful. Not that that's going to happen again. Nityananda is manifest now through his servants. So, and that will show up in more appropriate ways than that. That's not appropriate. You see, appropriate. Krishna is he's not a dum-dum. Things will happen appropriately. Whatever pastime is happening will be appropriate to the situation. You see, that was appropriate because Nityananda was here. It was actually that Nityananda that was Balaram, was here. He was the plenary portion of God, was here. The devotee, who is Nityananda's servant, will be manifested as to be some kind of servant pastime, like Caitanya-caritāmṛta. That was appropriate. Because the Brahma didn't recognize that he was delivering Nityananda to him. Isn't that what we're here to do? If you're a devotee, is to deliver Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda. Anyway, there's always going to be problems anyway, because that's just part of the... it's part of the... Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, they had problems when they were preaching. Yeah, definitely. This is always going to be... This is the material world. You got different rasas manifest. You have the material rasas in the world. You have the Vaidhi Bhakti rasa of worship. You got hedonist worship here in the world of worshiping the illusion. Okay? And then you got some rare spontaneous devotees here. And if the Lord says manifest it, then you're going to have some new actors on the stage of the world here. New activities you're going to see, like here. New kind of teachings, new understanding. But it's not so new because it was all 500 years ago. Anything else? Anyway, you don't have to worry about these things because, it's not a thing of control by the mind. It's not something that we can force or anything. If there's going to be something spontaneously happening, it's going to spontaneously happen and it'll all be good under the direction of the Lord. What are you going to do, Spontaneous devotional service is that way. So you don't have to worry about it or try to control it. try to make things go the way you want it. It's not about that. Just keep staying, like Janaki said this morning, just keep staying in the moment, man. You know, stay in the moment with your process, whatever that is. If attachments are up, you got to stay with that. Deal with that. Get more attracted to Krishna, or deal with it. Sometimes you got to, you know, deal with the attachment. Maybe you have to do something. Sometimes it's practical. Maybe you have to go and deal with your attachment, you know, personally. Like Jesus said, take no thought for the morrow. The evil of the day is sufficient unto itself. Dashu is saying that we can do what we want is for a person to understanding. We do, well, you know, do what we want. That's not a very good expression. See, when you say do what we want, often there's some kind of material conception there. Do we want? Better word is inspired. Those who are inspired by the Lord in the heart. That was the words of Ramananda were. Those who are, see, now this is kind of how it is. This is in Caitanya-caritāmṛta, the exact words. Those who are inspired by the Lord in the heart don't care about any rules and regulations. I mean, that's his words. That's right there in Caitanya-caritāmṛta. The Vaidhi Bhaktas would hate me even saying that. But that's what he said. That's an acharya right there in Prabhupada's books. He said those who are inspired by the Lord in the heart don't care about any rules and regulations prohibiting them. Yeah, it's not easy. Well, yeah. You just have to go through the purification, man. Keep relishing Krishna like you do, Johan. Keep relishing the Leela, man. It gets more and more clear, everything. That's the drill. Okay, I'm going to sign off and start again in about 5 minutes. I'll be in Witherspoons in about... I'm here at Witherspoons. I got to get my coffee. Or the coffee. Oh, shoot, my seat. Somebody took my seat. Look who took my seat. They took my seat. How dare they take my seat? Rascals, they took my seat. The squatters in my seat.
I'll get you a coffee.
All right. Just get the cup and I'll do it myself. I like to make my own thing. All right. Thank you. Squatters' rights. All right. Okay, so we'll end this one here and then we'll start another one.